T-minus 10, 9, 8.
The clock is operating. We're underway.
Tranquility Base here.
Endeavor, go at throttle.
Hi, good morning. This is Jason Albert, and I'm here with my friend Bert Hinckley at the USCSA 2015 National Championships, and we are covering the Nordic events. What event do we have here this morning, Bert?
This morning, Jason, we have the 15-kilometer mass start skate race. All the athletes will line up on the start. They are seated in lanes by scoring as teams, and they will all go off at once. They will ski 15 kilometers and then ski back into the arena for a spectacular finish, no doubt.
Okay, so one of the things the coaches will be grappling with, the women start at 9 a.m. this morning and the men will start at 11. So the conditions, both air temperature, snow temperature, the surface of the snow is going to change considerably in those 2 hours. First, what are the conditions this morning for the first race at 9 a.m.?
When I came in this morning, Jason, I took an air temperature and I took a snow temperature. We had air temperature of 25 degrees. We have a snow temperature of 9 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, the difference there is quite a bit, and the primary reason for that is evaporation overnight. The snow was releasing some moisture last night as it cooled, and the actual evaporation of that moisture lowered the snow temperature to 9 degrees Fahrenheit. We have a coarse, granular snow surface. It should be real fast this morning. Snow will warm, it will release moisture, and that will cause the coaches to apply different waxes and maybe even different structures to the ski for the men's event.
So I was down in town yesterday talking to local wax guru Ed Mysick, and one of the coaches, I don't recall what college he was from, but was in there inquiring about what type of wax he might purchase. And we were talking about how different the conditions will be between 9 and 11, or I thought, like for me, having moved from Colorado, this was skiing like really dry, coarse, abrasive, kind of high altitude snow.
That's what the snow is like here right now. It's fairly dry. It's coarse and abrasive this morning. As the sun, and we've got March sun. March sun is different than January sun. It's going to warm the snow. And so what we're going to see is the snow beginning to give up some energy, release that water, and be a different snow surface that the men will ski on. They'll have to make some adjustments.
So in terms of if you're a coach for a Nordic ski team and you have maybe 8 to 10 athletes to handle, and we just saw one of the coaches go by who maybe should be waxing some skis, that'd be a local legend, Muffy Roy. What are they doing? How are they prepping these skis this morning for this dry snow?
Well, they probably prepped the skis last night with a base wax and then a paraffin, what we call a base wax and a paraffin. And those usually have fairly wide ranges. What they're going to do this morning is do some testing, and they will test their top coats this morning. Now, most of the coaches that I've spoken to are using rub-on top coats, and these are high floral blocks that they will rub on the base of the ski. They will use a cork that's mounted on an axle on a drill, and they will roto-cork that top coat on. They'll follow that with brushing it out, and they'll probably try 2 or 3 different waxes, test it to see which ones are running fast. Taking care of skis is a full-time job, and these guys have been out there by themselves. They're mostly volunteers. I know that most of these schools have fairly low budgets, and you've got a lot of the kids paying their own way, a lot of the coaches volunteering their time, and there are many hours involved in preparing these skis. So the coaches have been out early this morning testing, and they will be frantically applying these top coats to the skis to get ready.
Okay, so if you're new to the sport, this whole idea of testing skis, and I know that sometimes if you're not, I suppose, like new to Nordic ski racing, and you go out to a scene like this and you see a coach with 10 pairs of skis in front of them, they're waxing furiously. What does testing look like? And then what are you looking for? And then my second piece of that is, if you have a slight difference in speed between skis, how might that manifest? I mean, does it really make that much of a difference?
Well, I'll start with your last question first. If you have if your ski is, let's say, 1% faster than my ski, and we're going to ski, and that's every kilometer, then we're going to ski 15 kilometers, you're going to be a long way ahead of me at the finish, given all other variables being equal. So, wax is important. The testing, that can vary depending on how high your budget is. I have seen coaches who can set up an electric eye, and they will actually do a speed trap test. They will start skiing down a hill, they will set up that electric eye and ski through the start eye and then through the finish eye, and it'll give them a total time. It'll also give them a top-end speed. Now, that's all well and good, but you know what? That doesn't tell you how the ski feels while you're climbing. So you have different speed variables that you want to consider. You've got slow speed braking friction. You've also got high speed top end. A lot of this will depend on what the course is like, and how much climbing is in the course, and how much of that climbing faces north, and how much of that climbing faces south. You have different athletes who may have different needs, and some may be really good climbers and expect to make up some time. Others don't and want more speed on the downhills. I mean, it can vary as much as that. Now, how do you then determine which skis you use? Once you have picked wax and you've put them out on some skis, the athletes will then ski and test for themselves. And they will say, this ski feels better to me than that ski. The 695 ski, every ski will have a name. Usually it's the last 3 digits of the serial number. And they'll say the 695 ski feels a lot better than the 360 ski. I'm going to ski on 695. They'll set that ski aside and they'll go warm up on the 360 ski.
Okay, so we have the racers that are starting and they are off this morning.
Looks like the women are on course. The mass start 15-kilometer race has begun.
Okay, so the seating this morning is a mass start, but from lane 1 as they extend out was Cornell, lane 2, University of Maine, lane 3, Whitman, lane 4, Clarkson, lane 5, Western State, lane 6, Paul Smith, lane 7, St. Olaf's, lane 8, Colorado Mesa, lane 9, Oregon State Cascades, lane 10, U.S. Air Force Academy, 11, Wyoming, and 12 is our guest lane. So today's course, is going to be running down past the oval here behind this timing shed. Out, there's some few short punchy hills, and the skiers will then have a gradual, they'll lose elevation for probably about 2 kilometers. Is that right, Bert?
They'll descend, they're primarily descending for about 2K. And they'll get to the low point of the course and make a 180-degree turn and come back up something called Devecca's Dive. Devecca's Dive, where they come into it, I don't know, are they using the long steep hill?
Yes, they are.
They are. They're going to have to climb that first part. It's the long steep hill, and they'll get to the top of that, and then it rolls on up to Emil's Clearing, and then they will take another hard right and come up Blue Jays. Blue Jays is another hard climb. This has got some extremely fast downhills in it, and it's got some hard, steep climbs. I mean, this is a real test today, Jason.
Yep, and one of the things I spoke to Oregon State Cascade skier Nolan King last night, the courses the past couple of days have been going opposite this direction and down Blue Jays, which makes for some really technical downhills. And on these skinny little skis, it can be kind of treacherous. Today, the downhills will be a little bit more straightforward, long straightaways that extend down. And it's the climbing that will include some steep hairpin turns. But for courses that they set up here at the Nordic Center for Mount Bachelor, this is one of the more stout ones. We have some lower trails that are not incorporated into the loop that can be super, super challenging. But beyond those, this is a hard course today for these skiers.
Yeah, most of the trails here either go down or up. There's very little flat. And some of the steep downhills, they'll reach speeds of anywhere from 40 to 50 kilometers per hour. These skis, these are fast. So on 41 millimeter wide skis, there can be some significant wobbling going on some of those descents.
So one of the things you'll notice in the broadcast this morning is, besides two announcers that are either in the midst of a cold or trying to heal up from a cold, there will be a lot of screenshots with no skiers in it, and that is due to the fact that they are off in the woods. This is I believe it'll be about, let me get this right here, about 13 Ks of skiing out away from this particular spot. And then there will be a short 2K loop up towards the end. So for most of this race, the skiers will be out in some fairly remote trails off in the forest. And we're also going to, as soon as we have live results up for you, we will be broadcasting that. So while we have some downtime here, let's go through some of our results from the past couple of days. And what results do we have, Bert, from the, let's look at
I've been calculating overall results, and these are my calculations. They are not the official calculations. So unofficially, it looks like, as of this moment, St. Olaf College is in first place for the women with 26 points. They're followed closely by Wyoming, University of Wyoming, in second place with 37 points. Third place, we have a bump up in points will be Clarkson at 95 points. Fourth place looks like Colorado Mesa University coming in with 109 points. We're followed then by, Cornell in fifth, and the Western State in sixth, University of Maine Farmington in seventh, and Oregon State Cascades in eighth place.
Okay, and so if you're new to this broadcasting in this scoring system, as Bert read off those scores, for example, St. Olaf, that is in position 1 for the overall women's crown right now before the results of this race. They have the least amount of points. So the scoring, it's more favorable for you to have a lower overall number of points.
That's right, Jason. What the points are awarded on is based on place finish. So if you finish first, you get 1 point. If you finish 10th, you get 10 points. And you take the top 3 skiers from your team, they are the points you count. And so we're looking at the points for St. Olaf, and they've got 3, 5, and 18. Totals to 26. You may ski 5 skiers. That means that 2 of your skiers aren't counting for points, but they can displace other skiers. So if you have your 3 skiers or your 5 skiers above, finishing faster than other schools, the 2 skiers, even though they don't count for points, they will displace those other school skiers down. So it's to your advantage to have your skiers finishing as high as they can, even the skiers who do not count for points.
Okay, and it's also good to note that some schools, for example, like Oregon State Cascades in the women's event, have 1 entrant.
Right, and so that 1 entrant, she will score what her points have been so far. Then to make up a team score, we take the number of finishers plus 1, so there were 81 finishers, and that means we will then add 82 to her 20 points to give her a team score of 184.
Okay. So while we're waiting for skiers to come through the lap area here, It is a 15K mass start skate race this morning that started at 9 a.m. The women were off first, and as a skate discipline, let's just explain a little bit again about what is skate or freestyle skiing, Bert.
Skate skiing is a discipline of cross-country skiing which developed in the late 80s with some experimentation by a number of skiers, one of whom was Bill Koch, an American. And Koch was one of the pioneers who really helped develop the sport of skate skiing. Skating is done on skis which are stiffer and shorter than classic skis. The classic ski has a wax pocket. We call it a pocket. It's a height of camber under the foot, and that's a part of the ski on which you put a sticky kick wax. Classic skiing is done with a diagonal stride, each ski parallel to the other. Skate skiing is done with a diverging stride, very much like a speed skater you see on the speed skate ovals. You push off one ski, transfer your weight to the other, and glide on one foot, then push off that ski in a lateral fashion and glide on the other foot. It's a lot faster than classic. It's a very dynamic component. Classic skiing adds an element to the competition which skate skiing doesn't have, and that's the selection of kick wax. Selection of kick wax on days like today can be a nightmare. Very difficult to find wax that will kick in the shady parts of the trail as well as it does in the sunny parts of the trail or vice versa. Today we don't need to deal with kick wax. There's no kick wax on a skate ski. They are just skating, as I say, very much like a speed skater, just as fast as they can go on down the courses here in Mount Bachelor.
So one of the things that, if you look at the metrics of outdoor recreation, Nordic skiing is a growth sport. But say if you take a snapshot of our community like Bend, although some folks like us would love to classic ski and love that striding motion, it seems like the growth in the sport is really in skating. And so sometimes like sitting there and thinking about and then applying what type of kick wax you need under that or in that wax pocket can be a little bit of a deterrent or a barrier to entry. So it seems, is that one of the reasons that skate skiing is kind of seeing this boom?
Kick waxing can be intimidating. You spend a lot of time in your garage at night prepping the skis, and you put on what you think is going to be a good kick wax, and you get to Mount Bachelor, and you start skiing, and you find that you have made a mistake. You have not anticipated the snow temperature right. You've not anticipated the structure of the snow crystals properly, and you find kick. Now you've got to wax again. You've got to either scrape off the kick wax you put on and apply something new, or wax over the top of what you've already put on. In the meantime, your friends who are skate skiing are already out on the trail. There are terrific skis made these days which don't require wax. Classic skis with what we call a pattern base or a fish scale base, and they will kick all the time. A number of ski companies now are making a mohair kick zone. It glides a little faster than the pattern base. It's a little quieter, and it provides ample kick. So some people are saying, gee, I don't want a kick wax, but I do want a classic ski. They're going to buy what we call a waxless ski.
Okay, so we're just getting some information at the bottom of the big climb, which would be the bottom of Devecas. We have in first place, and we'll get some names associated with these bibs, bib 4 in first, bib 3 in second, and bib 12 in third.